Hare Krishna Bhagavatam stories. The prize for frivolity. Long, long ago, there was a Gandharva known as Upabarhana. Gandharvas are a category of devatas in heavens who are beautiful and skillful in singing. They live on their planet called Gandharva Lokha. Upabarhana was very handsome with an attractive face and well built body. The other Gandharvas respected him. He was an expert in decorating himself with garlands, sandalwood pulp, cosmetics, and ornaments. He was most pleasing to the women of a city. Once, the residents of heaven organized a spiritual gathering to glorify the Supreme Lord Krishna. All categories of devatas, including Gandharvas and Apsaras, were invited to take part in it. Upabarhana went for the spiritual event surrounded by many women. Unfortunately, instead of glorifying the supreme god Krishna or Vishnu, he became intoxicated and started singing mundane songs inappropriate for the occasion. The members of the festival became upset with his behavior. The Prajapatis, who oversee the affairs of the universe, cursed him. You need to be punished for your misbehavior. May you become a low class person devoid of beauty. Thus, Upabarhana fell to the earth planet from the elevated heavens. He went deprived of his exalted position as a Gandharva and took birth as the son of a maid servant on the earth. He lost his beauty for which he was so proud. What happened to Upabarhana after he fell from the earth? Let's see what happened to Upabarhana. As a result of curse, Upabarhana took birth as the only son of a maid servant. She was simple, poor and uneducated, yet she was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to serve noble-hearted Brahmanas. She did menial service for the maintenance of herself and her child. She had no other relative apart from her only son. She bound him with a tie of great affection. She wanted to look after the boy's maintenance properly, but because she was so poor and dependent, she couldn't do much for the child. The boy was also dependent on his mother's affection and had no experience of different lands or people. He always believed that she would never leave him. When the boy was just 5 years old, he and his mother lived in a Brahmana school. Once, some great sages called the Bhakti Vedantas came there. They were learned in the Vedas and were devoid of sins. They were pure devotees of Lord Krishna. They decided to stay at the place during the 4 months of the rainy season. At this time, both the maidservant and her son rendered their various services. When the Bhakti Vedantas were discussing the pastimes of Lord Krishna, the boy would attentively hear them. Thus, his love for God increased gradually. Just as some diseases are contagious, bhakti is also contagious in a good sense. In the association of Bhakti Vedantas, the boy became infected with their purity and developed all good qualities and especially bhakti unto Krishna. The boy was disciplined, humble, and obedient to elders. He had no attachment to frivolous sports. He was not naughty or talkative. The sages were impressed with this conduct and blessed him. Although the boy was very young, the son of the maid servant and uneducated, he still became a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Slowly he became greatly attracted to the path of bhakti, which constitutes hearing about Krishna, chanting his names and remembering him. Devotion of God cannot be attained by age, caste, wealth, beauty, scholarship, and other material qualities, but can easily be achieved by the blessings of pure devotees. The boy fixed his mind on Lord Krishna steadily and engaged his body in serving the Lord in various ways. For example, he bowed down in front of the Lord and his devotees, carried a water pot with his hands, heard about the Lord with his ears, and so on. Thus his ignorance was fully destroyed and he became enlightened in Krishna consciousness. Ignorance is like darkness and spiritual knowledge is like sun. Wherever there is light, there cannot be darkness. Thus, during monsoon and autumn, in the association of Bhakti Vedantas, the boy developed prema or love for Krishna, the ultimate aspiration of all living beings. When the sages were about to depart, they mercifully taught him Srimad Bhagavatam and initiated him in the path of bhakti. After the sages left, an unexpected difficulty came in boy's life. What was that? After the departure of the great sages, the boy continued to live with his mother. He was overwhelmed with the stroke of inspiration he had just received in their wonderful company. He continued to meditate on their noble teaching. One day, an unexpected incident happened in Boy's life. His poor mother went out of the house to milk a cow in the evening. While walking along the path, she touched a snake by a foot, and the snake bit her leg. She died on the spot, and thus the boy lost his affectionate mother, his only caretaker. The boy was mature enough to see the hand of God even in this tragic incident. He thought, the Lord is the supreme well-wisher of his devotees. It is his mercy alone by which I am put in this situation. So he decided to travel towards the north. Because the boy's mother served the Bhaktivedantas, the Lord must have given her a good destination, and her son was now fully kept under the shelter of the Lord. Although devotees sometimes face difficulties in life, they don't give up their faith in the protection of the Lord. The boy passed alone through many cities, towns, villages, farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, gardens, forests, hills and mountains. He did not waste time for a single moment. He continued meditating on Lord Krishna during his travels. He came upon lakes filled with beautiful lotus flowers surrounded by bees and singing birds. He traveled through huge fearsome forests dense with reeds, cane, clumps of grass and hollow bamboos, and playground for snakes, owls and jackals. Still he was not fearful, as he constantly depended on the Lord. One who has complete faith in Lord's mercy does not fear any difficulty. Thus traveling, he felt tired, both bodily and mentally. He was both thirsty and hungry. He saw a river, took a bath in it and drank some water. He was thus relieved from exhaustion. He sat under the shade of a big banyan tree. He then began to meditate upon Lord Krishna with great love. He fully concentrated his mind on Paramatma, or the Supreme Soul situated within the heart, as taught to him by the sages. One must meditate on God as taught by the scriptures and gurus, not according to one's imagination. While the boy meditated on the Lord with great emotion and love, tears fell from his eyes, and Lord Krishna appeared in his heart. The boy could experience the fragrance of Krishna's body, the sound of Krishna's ankle bells, and the beauty of Krishna's face. He was thus absorbed in an ocean of joy and was covered with goosebumps. While in such bliss, he suddenly lost the vision of Lord. He couldn't see the attractive form of Krishna anymore in his meditation. He was agitated from the sorrow of separation. He became despondent, like someone who had lost a valuable treasure. He desired to see the Lord repeatedly and tried to meditate with great eagerness but couldn't see the Lord. He was thus dissatisfied. We cannot demand the Lord to be present before us, just as we cannot demand the sun to rise whenever we like. Just the sun rises on its own will, similarly the Lord also reveals himself to us only when he wants. Pleased by seeing the boy's attempts in the lonely place, Lord Krishna mercifully spoke to him to encourage him. The Lord said, "In this body you cannot see me anymore. I am invisible to those who are incomplete in service and who still have impurities. I showed myself to you once just to increase your desire to see me more. By serving my devotees and me even for a few days, one attains firm devotion for me. You will soon become my associate in the spiritual world after giving up the present body." Then the Lord stopped speaking. Since then, the boy repeatedly chanted the Lord's holy name. He traveled in this world being satisfied, humble and non-envious. In due course of the time, he was absorbed in Lord Krishna and became detached from all material taints and met with death. Quitting the material body, he received a spiritual body, befitting an associate of the Lord. In his next life, he became the great sage Narada, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. In the next creation, when Lord Brahma was creating the universe, this boy appeared as the son of Brahma in a spiritual body. He was called Narada Muni, the best among the sages. The Lord gifted him a musical instrument called Veena. While playing the Veena, Narada travels unrestrictedly both in the spiritual and the material worlds, singing about the Lord and spreading the path of bhakti. As soon as he chants, the Lord at once appears in his heart as if called for. Narada Muni is a great teacher of bhakti and is the guru of several devotee kings. kings like Dhruva, Prahlada, Priyavrata, and others. When divine blessings are coupled with sincere endeavors, we become successful in attaining our goals. Although the maidservant's son was not so advanced in his age or social status, he was still blessed by Bhaktivedantas for his excellent conduct. And with his sincere endeavors, he was successful in attaining God's grace. So, we should try to please elders by our behavior, receive their heartfelt blessings, and sincerely try our best to succeed in our goals. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.